Hello, everybody. Rob Smith here. I'm delighted to be joined with Cage Warriors finest Jack Foote as he prepares to fight on April 25th on Cage Warriors Glasgow. Jack, how are we doing?
Yes, brilliant, mate. Yourself?
I'm very good, mate. I'm very good. So, no, let's just jump straight into it, mate. I want to kind of start, at the start of your career. So, you came through the amateur ranks in Scotland, and
Yeah.
what does it mean to you to be now fighting professionally for Cage Warriors, leading up to Cage Warriors Glasgow? That's got to mean a lot to you.
Yeah, it's amazing, mate. Like when I go back and I think about the start of my amateur career, I didn't think I'd be where I was now so quick. You know, what I mean, I always seen the pathway of I was going to use like Budo and the amateur, like Scottish kind of scene to eventually get myself here. But to be here and be 2-0 in Cage Warriors, only 2-0 professional, it's things are moving quick for me, mate. So I'm extremely happy with where we're at. And getting ready to fight on home soil again, it doesn't get much better than that.
And on the Cage Warriors website, we briefly touched off it off record, but you're currently down as not having an opponent, and you mentioned your
Yeah.
frustrations. What has it that been like for you training? Because we're not too far away from fighting now, and you've still not got an opponent. Because I feel like it's going to be hard to get someone to fight you with how your fights have gone so far. I can imagine not many two people are keen to sign to fight you. So what's that been like for yourself training, not knowing who you're going to be fighting?
It's all right training. Like I'm one of these people, mate. I train year round, so regardless of whether I had an opponent or I didn't have an opponent, I'd still be on the match 2, 3 times a day every day. But it's just like the things that change for me when I've got a fight coming up isn't what I'm doing on the mats, it's what I'm doing when I'm off the mats. So I'm spending less time with friends and family. I'm not able to go out for meals, things like that. You know what I mean? Which when you've got that opponent there and you know you're locked in, it's easy to do that. But when you've not got an opponent, it can become a bit harder to mentally focus that way. But it's been a challenge in itself, and it's stuff that can likely happen again. You know what I mean? So it's a good test for us, just staying switched on, even though I've not got that name and that face yet, and just patiently waiting for it to come through.
And when we last spoke at Cage Warriors Newcastle in our interview, we called for this. We were saying Cage Warriors get back to Glasgow. And so,
Yeah.
what was your immediate reaction when you saw they're announcing they're coming back to Glasgow?
I was buzzing, mate. So when I was like first, I went away to Canada at the start of the year there for training. And before I went, I wasn't sure my first fight of the year was going to be yet. So I was hoping and holding out. And then just when I was like my first week away for there, I got confirmation, like just before they posted up, that they were going to be coming back to Glasgow. And I was like, get in, we're booked in. So as I've just had everybody pushing to try and make some noise and get us on the main card. So I've done enough tickets. So hopefully the opponent comes right and we can get ourselves a wee slot in the main card.
I mean, I feel like it has to be main card. You guys blew the roof off Newcastle. You were traveling to enemy territory and you blew the roof off the place. It just makes sense to have you on the main card. What do you believe? Is that something you've always had throughout your amateur career? Because you bring a serious crowd, but have you always been a good ticket seller?
I've always been a good ticket seller, mate, but not to the extent that I am just now. I'm definitely doing a lot more tickets now than what I ever have done. I would do like good for like an amateur on an amateur show, but now that I'm on the pro scene and it's getting really big, I'm each fight I'm getting a bigger following. I'm now starting to get people that like I don't even know personally that I haven't met before I've started fighting that are messaging me and saying, "Oh, we've got tickets, we're coming to support you." So I think the platform of Cage Warriors itself has helped build me as well, and it's just gave me a bigger following. And obviously, I'm shouting now more about my hometown than I ever had before, and I think that's just helping get some traction behind it as well. It's different when you're shouting about your hometown, you're fighting your hometown on a local show from your hometown. It's not the same as fighting on Europe's biggest promotion, shouting and representing your hometown and going out and getting finishes. You know what I mean? So it just keeps getting bigger and bigger for there, and I'm so grateful for it.
And Scottish MMA is surging right now. It feels like it's an all-time high. Why do you believe that? As we've got Chris Duncan main event of the weekend, obviously Sean
Yeah.
Clancy's main event of this card. Scottish MMA right now is so hot, and why do you believe that is?
I think it's just a change of time. Like there's just so many good guys coming through just now. It's just growing and growing and growing, and it's got more popular. There's a lot more gyms now. There's just I feel like the young generation, like my generation, is the people that like. I feel like it's probably a thing everywhere because like the people that were inspired by the McGregor boom are the people that are now professionals. You know what I mean? So, nah, it's doing well. The level of training's getting better in the country all the time as well, mate. You know what I mean? So as one gym gets better, they fight another gym. That gym gets better, they learn the lessons for that fight, and everybody just elevates for their mate. You know what I mean? So, but no, we're on absolutely on fire now. Chris main event in the UFC. Sean main event here, and if I win, he'll be on his way to the UFC as well. So yeah, everyone's on an upward trajectory for Scottish MMA, mate. It's booming.
And you're unbeaten so far in your professional career. And how do you believe you've developed the most? And what sort of area of your game do you think has developed the most since your amateur days?
Uh, Probably my confidence, to be honest, mate. Like confidence is probably the biggest skill in fighting. Like when people talk about fighting skills, they instantly think striking, grappling, wrestling. But I think the biggest thing is confidence, mate, and just learning how to be a game day performer. I mean, you've seen what I'm like when I walk out. I take it in, mate, and I use that as fuel and drive rather than being intimidated by it and cowering away from it. So I think like there can be like guys in the gym, they're really good in the gym, and then when it comes to fight night, they crumble. So I think my biggest skill that I've adapted from being an amateur to now is just learning how to thrive off the moment and not let it consume you and use it in a good way.
Was that something that you struggle with as an amateur? Was letting the moment get to you a little bit? Because like I've never had a fight in my life, but I couldn't imagine the pressure that you when you hear that your walkout song go. I couldn't imagine the sort of heart sinking pressure moment feeling that you get in that moment.
My first fight was a N class Muay Thai fight, so it was like Muay Thai with the shin pads on, right? And I actually like there was just so much like I felt so nervous. It was something completely new to me. I'd never done it before. I was super fit going into my first fight. I've always been like a really fit guy. I was super fit going into that first fight. Five 1.5 minute rounds with a minute rest between each round. And by the end of round two, I was completely fucked, mate. Like I was blown out my ass. And it was just because I was in such a pressurized environment and I didn't know how to deal with it. And I think I probably forgot to breathe as well, to be honest, mate. I think I just held my breath and swung for the first two 1.5 minute rounds, you know what I mean? So yeah, definitely like the learning box. So like straight away from that first one, I went, whoa, right, okay, I can't just go in and put the head down and swing here and hope for the best. You're like, I need to be smart here and focus on my breathing, being calm, and just every fight from there, it's got better and better and better. But it's strange, mate. Like almost at the end of my amateur career, when I think back to like being in the changing rooms, warming up and walking out for them, I felt more pressure than what I have in my two Cage Warriors fights. Which is weird. I don't know. I don't know if it was just the spot I was in because I was main event. I was almost like I knew I had my Cage Warrior. I think maybe what it was I knew I had my Cage Warriors contract for my last amateur fight. So I knew it was already secured in the bag. So I thought, right, I didn't want to be going there off a loss. I didn't want to ruin this kind of thing. You know what I mean? So I felt a lot of pressure in that last amateur fight. But these two fights I've had now, I've almost just felt free. You know what I mean? I think it's showed in my performances.
And do you believe there's any sort of any added extra pressure with this fight being in Glasgow?
I don't think so at all, mate. No, like the biggest pressure is for me to go out and perform at my best. That's what I always put pressure on now. So, like my coach always says to me, go in and fight with freedom. Like I don't fight to I don't fight to win. I fight to finish, mate. You know what I mean? So I'm just coming for the first bell.
And what does a win at Cage Warriors Glasgow do for your career? Do you think about long-term goals in the sport? Or are you just one of those people who takes it fight by fight?
No, I completely think about long term goals, mate. I even think about 20, 30 years in the future where I'm going to be. You know, I'm always thinking about where am I going to be here? Where am I going to be then? So a win here is massive for me, absolutely massive for me. Like I say, my support, my following gets bigger every win. And getting a main card spot at home in Glasgow, not a win here, a big finish here is exactly what I'm chasing. So once I get that on the 25th of April, it's the game's my oyster at that point, mate. You know what I mean? Let's see what comes in the second half of the year, and then we go 4-0, and then you're really fucking chapping up the ranks in the division, mate. You know what I mean?
Well, that's it, mate. And there's something that you briefly touched on earlier, but I want to talk about it a bit more in depth. Is you went on to kind of do a train over at TriStar with Rasa
Yes,
Havi,
mate.
and you
Yeah,
posted a picture with this. You were in the same room as GSP and Mighty Mouse. What
yeah.
was that like? That's incredible.
Doesn't get much better than that, mate. You know what I mean? That's the highest caliber that a Mac can probably get. You know what I mean? Two legends in the room at the one time, and it was such a surprise, mate. Like nobody knew Demetrius was coming. So George is there. Like he still trains like 2, 3 days a week, mate. So it's not like obviously to the boys there. Like George walks in and says, "Oh, what's happening, George? How you doing?" It's not like, whoa, fucking hell, there's, you know what I mean? They're just used to it. He's in 2 or 3 times a week. But we just wrapped up a sparring session and there was a group of us getting a photo, just like some of the boys that had been sparring with each other. And George just popped his feet round the corner and he was like, look what I've got for you guys. And everybody's like, whoa, right? I didn't have my glasses on, mate, because we just finished sparring. So I'm like, who the fuck is that, man? Like, I couldn't tell who it was. And then as he got closer and he came out and shake my hand, I was like, fucking hell, it's this DJ, you know what I mean? So crazy, mate. It was a great experience getting to go back out there again. Uh, Almost feels like a home away from home now. You know what I mean? I'm welcome to go back again. So I'll definitely be back again, if not this year, next year.
And do you think eventually, obviously, your goal is to get to the UFC, and I know a few people like Arnold Allen goes over there
Yeah.
quite a lot of train for his UFC fight. Is that something you can see for yourself in the future?
Yeah, 100%. I'll keep bouncing between here and home. And I'm actually in Liverpool just now. I'm down here for the week getting some training with the boys at Next Gen. So I'm lucky that I've just got these couple of gyms that I can go and get some good training in and then go back home and keep fine tuning different things here and there. You know what I mean? So I'm lucky to, and even going over to Holland to see my coach Kamal in Holland, like I'm very lucky the places I can just go at and train and the different people that I can spend time with and pick their brains. Do you know what I mean? I'm truly lucky for the situation that I'm in to be able to just travel and do what I love.
And what's it been like over in Next Gen? Because I know they've got some serious talent over there.
Yeah, fucking class, mate. It's brilliant. Like top gym in the UK, mate. You know what I mean? All the boys are on fire the now, so you just bounce off that when you're down here, mate. You know what I mean? And you can see when you see the way that they train and how structured the sessions are and things like that. It's no mistake that the boys are all smashing it the way they are. You know what I mean?
Do you have anyone who's your favorite person to train with in Next Gen?
Loads of boys that I like to train with. There's loads of boys in that bantam feather fly kind of divisions. You know what I mean? So obviously you've got Fletcher, Gittins, Joe Fields, Connor Wilson. You know what I mean? Loads of boys, Charlie Bolton, loads of boys down here about my weight that I can just get great rounds with. You know what I mean? So it's perfect. Also, I always love try to get a bit in with George whenever I can as well. George Staines has got a fucking brilliant brain for the sport. So anytime he's got a spare 5 minutes, I'll go and pick his brain about certain wee things. You know what I mean? 'Cause he's always got some golden nuggets for us.
And I'm curious. I want to talk about the sort of the mindset of the minute. What sort of drives you when days when you know when you can't be bothered, you know when you're having those days, everyone has them where you think I cannot be bothered. I don't want to go to train right now. My body's feeling sore. I
Yeah.
don't want to drive there. What drives you on those days? What motivates you the most?
Well, I know it's the gym where I'm from back home. Like I'm the only professional MMA fighter. You know what I mean? So I've got to be an example for because there's a lot of like boys that are like 15 to 18 in our gym just now that have got serious potential. You know what I mean? And I'm almost the team captain for the gym. So if the team captain takes a day off when he just can't be bothered, then what kind of example does that set to the younger ones? You know what I mean? So even on the days like I'm cutting calories and I feel like shit, I'm still going to show up and do what I need to do anyway. Because personally, I know they are the sessions that like can really make a difference. You know what I mean? And the only session like I've never done a session and regretted it unless I've got injured, mate. You know what I mean? So you don't feel like shit. Go and do your session, then still feel like shit after it. You know what I mean? If you're tired, you can't be bothered. You go and do your session, you feel great after it. You feel like you've achieved something. You know what I mean?
And what for you is the best things about being a professional MMA fighter, and what are the worst things that people might not necessarily see?
The best thing for me is the lifestyle, mate. You know what I mean? Like, this is what I do full time now, so I don't need to work my full time job anymore. I wasn't an electrician before I was a like professional fighter, so I've managed. I'm in a position where I can give that up now. I can just train. I do a little bit of PT in here and there. I do bits of ref and that brings money in as well. But just the lifestyle of being able to wake up and my sole responsibility is get better at martial arts and help other people get better at martial arts rather than go and fucking run this cable for here to there. You know what I mean? Like, I'm doing what I'm passionate about, mate. You know what I mean? And I'm able to make a living doing it, and I'm able to fight on these big stages. So, yeah, I'm fucking truly blessed to be living the life that I'm living.
And if you weren't fighting, what do you reckon you'd be doing with your life? Do you reckon it would be the electrician, or is there any other goals that you
I'd,
had when you were younger?
nah, I'd probably still be an electrician, to be honest, mate. I'd probably still, I'd be just quite comfortable in the routine of wake up, go to the gym, lift some weights in the morning, go to work 9 hours a day, and then kick about my mates at night time kind of thing. You know what I mean? Just a constant loop. That's what I was doing when I was working full time. But it was actually during COVID that I started training because there was nothing else to do, and just fell in love with it and never looked back since.
And I know you're not the type of guy to look too far ahead. You don't want to get ahead of yourself. However, is there anyone in Cage Warriors who you think that's the guy I want to fight the most? That's who I think would give me the most entertaining matchup.
But it's got to be Wesley. Now he's the guy with the belt, so you always want to chase the champ, don't you? You know what I mean? If that's the guy with the belt, then that's the guy that you're fucking. That's the guy you're after. That's the guy you're watching. What's he doing? Why is he in the position? You know what I mean? So, yeah, if it's anybody you're chasing after, Wesley just now, aren't you?
And what did you make of Wesley's fight against Ollie? Because it's now absolute war.
Yeah, it was good. It was a proper war. Definitely don't think he's unbeatable. Definitely do not think he's unbeatable. But it was a good fight. Two tough lads scrapped it out. Great to watch. And there's obviously a lot of footage out there now on him as well. There's 25 minutes of him out there, so that helps for the future.
And last one from me, mate. I just want to ask, what is your message to Cage Warriors fans ahead of Glasgow, and can we get a prediction for your fight?
Yes, mate, it's tough for a prediction for the fight because I don't know who I'm fighting yet, you know what I mean? But I can guarantee you, whoever it is that ends up stepping up and fighting, it's going to be absolute fireworks for as long as it lasts because I don't plan on it lasting very long, mate. You know what I mean? From the first second, as soon as that bell goes, everybody knows I'm always coming hard for the first bell and I'm fit enough to do that for 3 fights, 5 fights, 10 fights if I need to. So tune in, make sure you're there because there's great fights on the prelims. Hopefully, I'm on the main card. Hopefully, I kick off the main card and I'll kick off with an absolute bang.
Cage Warriors. If anyone's watching some Cage Warriors, don't be silly. Get Jack on that main card. He's done more than enough. He's earned it.
Let's go.
Jack, mate, I want to thank you for your time, mate. I wish you the best of luck, and fingers crossed we get an opponent soon. And you
Yep.
can just, I'm looking forward. I'm going to be there on fight night. We'll do a post-fight interview after you've win, as always. I wish you the
Yes,
best of
bro.
luck, mate.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Rob. I appreciate your time, mate.
Thank you.